These homes have been unoccupied for at least the last 10 years. They're also many feet above the rest of the street, making them perfect targets. On the other side of the river, Bossier City Police rolled out their enforcement with these signs. I do want to show you just quickly behind us as well some of the homes that have been affected. You can see how high that this water is. The street where police made the bust is a 10-time night out winner. Shreveport attorney Tom Arsenault recently and unsuccessfully took his fight for funding to the state Supreme Court. In his filing, Arsenault cites if you have made the mistake of answering the text message and giving them your personal information, call police as soon as possible. If not, go ahead, simply delete the message. That $5,000 amount remains unpaid as seen in this lien filed at the Caddo Parish Courthouse. When Alford filed to run for district attorney this year, she said she had no outstanding fees due. When asked for comment, she said the fine was resolved in her bankruptcy. Jessica Burns-Laird will likely have permanent scars after a routine trip to the convenience store turned violent. But the emotional damage, she says, is just as bad. Shreveport police have released surveillance video, hoping that you can catch the people responsible. Still wearing a bikini after a day spent swimming, Jessica Burns-Laird says a group of men approached her car at a Shreveport gas station while her boyfriend was inside buying cigarettes. When he came out and heard the inappropriate comments, her boyfriend and some of the men fought before getting back behind the wheel to leave. That's when they say someone just off camera took a brass pipe, threw it through the open passenger window, and smashed Jessica in the face.
No, I wasn't expecting this.
This teen will now need work on 10 to 12 teeth. She has too many stitches to count, but the worst part, she says, is the emotional trauma.
There's a little bit of fear, honestly, because going through this makes you realize how delicate life is, and you never know what can happen. Things happen so suddenly and without warning.
Police are examining this surveillance video and ask anyone with information to come forward.
The video does show some things. It doesn't show the entire ordeal, but we do rely heavily on information that we get from surveillance footage.
While Jessica will never forget the night she spent pacing a convenience store parking lot, her hands covering a bleeding, broken mouth, she says the support from her boyfriend, his family, and even strangers is encouraging.
All of the support that's been shown towards me, I'm so extremely thankful.
Now, Jessica does have medical and dental insurance, but she is still on the hook for some really big bills. There is a GoFundMe account set up to benefit her. At last check, there were almost $1,000 donated, but that's of the $25,000 she needs. Sara Machi, KTBS 3 News. 18-year-old Miles O'Quinn is ready for takeoff from the same spot where he performed an emergency landing just 24 hours ago. With 2 years flying experience already under his belt, when his engine went dead less than 15 minutes after takeoff in what's called the North Practice Area, O'Quinn looked around, saw this stretch of unfinished interstate, and followed his training. It's an incredible landing, even if O'Quinn is too humble to admit it. Are you going to tell anybody about this? Are you going to talk to your friends about it?
Well, you're about to tell the whole world, so.
This Cessna was rented from Shreveport-based Royal Air and listed under ownership by 2 Lee LLC. The company declined to comment on the emergency landing. As O'Quinn readies to return to Shreveport Downtown Airport, Caddo Sheriff's deputies look on, impressed by his skills and courage.
Responded to some other incidents, but those were primarily with injuries and damage to the aircraft and things of that type of nature.
Take a look. It is absolutely shocking. Now, some of these bullets entered apartments just inches from where children were sleeping Sunday morning. There were no injuries reported, luckily, but it is a situation that could have been so much worse.
My son was laying right here in this bed, as you can see, at the head of his bed, sleeping when this one here came through.
This Lakeside Gardens renter doesn't want to identify herself, but her children are lucky to be alive after a hailstorm of bullets flew through 6 Queensboro apartments Sunday morning.
And after it was over with, my son came in this room and looked in his bed, and he was like, Mom, it's crumbs in my bed or whatever. And I come pull this cover back and it wasn't crumbs. It was actually the sheetrock from the impact of the bullet. It was all over his bed.
The bullet went through here.
Jacqueline Robertson is yet another victim.
It came through here. And this all the stuff that was from there when the bullet hit. And then also,
She found out about this damage hours after the 12:30 shooting.
I get this kind of ricocheted right there.
We don't know if this individual was shooting at someone or targeting someone, so it's just as important as someone being shot. I mean, we do want to get these guys off the street.
Now again, it's an absolute miracle, but nobody was hurt in this crime. Shreveport police guys, they say they are working on this case, but no suspects at the time. So Crime Stoppers is offering a $350 reward for anyone with some information that will lead to an arrest.
All right, thanks, Sarah.
When Shanikia Hall appears in Caddo Court just next week, she will ask the judge to lower her bond so she doesn't have to have a child in custody. Hall is charged with the attempted second-degree murder of her boyfriend, Brian Green, and bond is now set at $100,000. It's the subject of our Arklatex In-Depth tonight, Born Behind Bars. Caddo Correctional Center Health Services Director Sheila Wright has seen thousands of pregnant women walk these halls. Women are required to take a pregnancy test upon arrival, but receive all care off-site.
We just try to provide them with the best prenatal care we can, and sometimes we're the only prenatal care that they receive.
In the past year, Wright says there have been about 30 pregnant inmates. When the time comes for birth, they take the woman to University Health by CCC transport or using Shreveport Fire or Ballantine in an emergency. Women are restrained during transportation, and a guard is present the entire stay. If violent, the patient remains handcuffed to the side rail until delivery. Prisoner patients never share a room with anyone, do not have phones or visitors. Stairwells are locked for infant safety. During the procedure, however, she is treated like any other patient.
They're treated the exact same medical-wise, anesthesia-wise, and facility-wise. To me, it's all the exact same. We still provide them with skin to skin. We let them do the bonding with the baby. There's no different from any other civilian delivery that it is from a CCC delivery.
Women spend 24 to 48 hours at University Health after a natural birth and up to 3 days for C-sections. During that time, she is not allowed to see friends or family, but gets prenatal guidance and usually arranges for a family member or custodian to pick up the child after their release.
It's more difficult for the mother, of course, being incarcerated. They don't have access to their extended families, of course, the father, and things like that. So it's a difficult place to be because you're there by yourself.
Now, care continues even after a woman returns to CCC with the facility's mental health division. They have counselors there that can help with postpartum depression or any other issues. And Sherry, there is also parenting classes available that will help a woman prepare to return to her young child.
Webster Parish Sheriff's Office is under scrutiny. As KTBS 3 News first reported, Sheriff Gary Sexton was notified of nepotism allegations and confirmed a Louisiana Ethics Board investigation.
But as KTBS 3 crime reporter Sara Machi found out, that may just be the start of his problems. Sara has been working on this story for weeks and joins us live with tonight's 3 Investigates report.
So Sara, talk to us about these other allegations.
Sure, Devin, Sherry. We are learning more about the accusations against Webster Parish Sheriff Gary Sexton and his department. Far more than the previously reported nepotism. Among the claims, missing money and the mistreatment of inmates at Bayou Dorcheat Correctional Center. The Louisiana Board of Ethics recently notified the Webster Parish Sheriff's Office of their intent to investigate possible nepotism within the department. Sheriff Gary Sexton says Deputy Chief Bobby Igo and Bayou Dorcheat Correctional Center Warden John Lewis received letters from the board last month since both men have sons working within their ranks. Sexton says he believes the law prohibits him from hiring family, but doesn't apply to family of other Sheriff's Office employees. The board ruled in 2010, however, that the Wynn Parish Sheriff's Office did violate the law when Chief Deputy Paul Alsup's son was employed within his agency. While Sexton says this is the only issue the board brought to them, KTBS 3 News has learned that the original and the second complaints laid out other possible crimes, among them thousands of dollars missing from the sale of scrap metal at Union Elementary to Troy's Auto Salvage in Doyline. When the school board voted to close certain schools in 2011, the sheriff's office cleared the elementary of old materials. Portable buildings reportedly taken from the school were kept on personal property, but then moved as the ethics investigation began. But perhaps the most concerning is the allegation of inmate abuse, and KTBS has received video of one such confrontation. In the recording, shot June 2014, an inmate is taken from a cell, handcuffed, and led out of the cell block. As Deputy Joe Morgan holds the man by the neck, another guard, Sergeant Stacy Ward, approaches and hits the inmate. An act Ward repeats again, all while the inmate is handcuffed and seemingly compliant. Here is the second incident, caught again from another angle. Following these two confrontations, the inmate, reportedly growing more hostile, is put in a corner. There, in the booking room, he then spits on Ward. The guards again grab him, push him into the wall, before taking him to another cell. A report from Internal Affairs says Ward and Morgan illegally used force as a punishment and waited 8 days to file a report, though policy requires one by the end of the shift. The inmate also says Ward repeatedly tried to make him drop the complaint, and Internal Affairs found the deputies gave false statements during their investigation. The sheriff's own investigators did recommend discipline against the officers and that the inmate be relocated, though he is still in BDCC. Ward and Morgan, however, both received what could be considered favorable transfers following the incident. Now, KTBS 3 News has made multiple efforts to meet with the sheriff to go through the files on these complaints and others, but those efforts have not yet been successful. We have filed Freedom of Information Act requests for the files, and we're going to continue to follow this story. Meanwhile, Sherry, just today, Sheriff Sexton, he told the Minden Press-Herald that he plans to launch his own investigation into who released the video that you just saw. And he couldn't say, though, whether or not charges would be filed.
All right, we know you'll keep us updated on any changes. Thank you so much, Sarah. Appreciate it. Sexton has previously told us he'll provide an organizational chart to the ethics board to help with the nepotism charge. Sexton has served as sheriff since 2004 and is seeking re-election.
Now, we have previously talked about Cartez Alexander's arrest record, but since then we have uncovered more about the recent allegations against him, including 911 calls only hours after his death. Police arrived at 803 Pine Tree Drive to find Cynthia McCrae's 16-year-old son lying outside their home, a bullet through his leg. His mother was dead in their front doorway. Her killer would soon shoot himself. It was the 7th 911 call to the house in only 2 days.
Shreveport Police, what is your emergency?
The first 3 calls are about McCrae's car. She says Alexander had taken it, wouldn't tell her where it is, and was threatening to kill their infant child. That night, the threat escalates when McCrae's son calls about a man outside their house.
I see him right now. He's still behind my mom's window.
Okay. Is he trying to get her attention or anything?
He's trying to come in the house now.
When McCrae takes the phone, she says her ex was trying to break in through her bedroom window, but McCrae grows increasingly frustrated as Alexander slips away.
So they have not looked in your backyard yet?
No, they didn't do nothing. They out there talking. They gonna mess it up. So you got to sneak up on this man because he's very sneaky. Very sneaky.
Cartez Alexander has a documented history of violence against women. In 2004, he was charged with attempted second-degree murder of another woman, but pleaded guilty to lesser charges. In August last year, Alexander was arrested for reportedly putting a steak knife to McCrae's throat, leaving injuries on her neck and fingers. McCrae told police he further threatened her, saying that if he had a gun, he would kill her. Police found a text message where Alexander says if he can't be with her, no one can. He would kill her. McCrae references this abuse to the dispatcher before her murder.
I don't know what he keep coming back for. Probably try to beat up on me again.
So he did assault you too?
He does assault me a lot.
We're not in a position to say that everything was done, absolutely right or everything was done wrong. You know, there's some things that we look at. You know, if there's a way that we can do things better, then you know we're going to always err on the side of caution. We're going to look at those things.
Shreveport police say hindsight always reveals better options, better practices. But Alexander's arrest record shows they do what they can in serious situations. There are no reports filed after the 911 calls, only an unauthorized use of vehicle report from days earlier. While taking information about her missing car, an SPD officer did counsel McCrae, warning the mother she and her young son were at risk of harm.
The investigators that we do have, they do work hard. They're very effective. They have a high case closure rate. So those guys, while they may be small in number, they're extremely effective.
In the last few moments caught on tape, McCrae makes contact with the police at her door. She brings them into her home, even though she doubts their ability to keep her safe.
Man, these cops are so stupid to me. He probably looking at them right now. Tell him go on Woodfield.
They want you to come to the door.
I'm coming.
Just go out. Go ahead and talk to him, okay?
Can you come in? I don't feel comfortable talking out there.
Okay, go ahead and talk to him, okay?
All right, I will. Thank you so much.
Now, Shreveport police say that they did respond to each of the 911 calls from that house, and they did send patrols by there to check for periodic reasons. But when Louisiana law says that whenever a law enforcement officer has reason to believe someone is being abused, then that officer should immediately use all reasonable means to prevent further abuse. And that would include arranging or assisting that person find shelter or safety. But we talked to Shreveport women's advocates, and they say that this simply didn't happen here. Now, if there is a silver lining to this tragedy, then McCrae's 16-year-old son, well, he is recuperating even faster than family expected. So within days, he was standing up and taking steps. They say that he is tough and he is determined, just like their mother.
Very disturbing. Thank you very much, Sarah. McCrae leaves behind an 8-month-old baby girl, and her family has a GoFundMe account set up to help pay for unexpected costs. They're trying to raise $6,500. We've got a link to the Cynthia McCrae Fund on our website, as well as information for the many domestic violence resources available in our state.
November 2011, Shreveport police responded to a home invasion in the 4800 block of Long Street, arresting 2 men for the crime and confiscating 26,000 prescription pain pills. A year and a half later, those pills would again cause controversy when SPD's Internal Affairs received a tip that employees with access to the old evidence room were abusing prescription pills.
They found over 14,000 pills that were missing from a narcotics case that I believe the evidence was seized in the previous year.
Newly released documents from the Caddo District Attorney's Office outline a case against a Shreveport sergeant, Troy Skisick, though he was never arrested or charged in the case.
Nothing can prepare you for what you're going to see when you do this job, specifically when you do, narcotics.
Shown here in KTBS archive video, Troy Skisick joined the department in 1991, rising to supervisor in the narcotics unit. When police began an internal investigation into those allegations of prescription pill abuse, several employees whose names are redacted in police reports told investigator Mark Davis that Skisick would come to the property room with a black duffel bag, placing drugs in the bag to take photos for use in setups and training, an action that struck Davis as unusual. Investigators also reported concern from people they interviewed that there were changes in Skisick's physical and mental appearance. One person interviewed by investigators said they were told they did not have the authority to address Skisick due to his, quote, relationship to the chief. In the end, Davis concludes he could, quote, think of no logical reason that Sergeant Skisick could have as to why he went into the property room on so many occasions just to take photographs of the now missing narcotics. This agent feels Sergeant Skisick manipulated the employees who worked at the property room, using his supervisor status in narcotics to his longtime friendships with the employees who trusted him as a fellow officer. Davis writes that Skisick was not interviewed. He retired in October 2012, months after the allegations surfaced. Sara Machi, KTBS 3 News.